pleasure to introduce someone who truly represents what it means to make the most of the collegiate experience. Jack joined our community in 7th grade and has embraced every opportunity with enthusiasm and heart. Whether it's shining on stage, excelling in the classroom, or diving into complex challenges with the robotics team, who, by the way, just got back from Worlds in Houston, Jack has left his mark in so many meaningful ways. He may be running a little low on sleep today, but don't worry, he's promised to project his voice and draw us in with a speech that reflects the incredible journey he's had during his middle school years. Outside of school, Jack keeps just as busy. He is a dedicated Boy Scout, a talented pianist, and someone who clearly values time with his family. He also brings a fantastic sense of humor to everything he does, whether he's laughing at a teacher's corny joke or delivering one of his own. And if you've ever seen Jack really get the giggles, you know there's nothing better than his genuine smile and contagious laughter. So, without further ado, Jack Eifler.
And already a fourth of my middle school life had been spent in another school, with other friends, other teachers, other everything. I came to collegiate with a strong reputation for academic excellence and exceptional teachers, but I am leaving middle school with so much more. I've gained incredible life lessons and shared experience, which has shaped who I am today. I have been given opportunities to grow in ways I didn't expect, and I am thankful for the challenges that pushed me and the mentors who had guided me. Everything was new, from the walls and cafeteria to the people in classes. The newness extended to the opportunity for students to select clubs. Much to the surprise of everyone who had ever known me, on the top of my list was participating in play. Newsies. I always wanted to be in a play. Although I had no experience singing or dancing, it looked like fun. I still remember checking the sign in the middle school office confirming that the play would fill my time on Tuesdays. Before the audition, I strategized and decided to try for the role of Pulitzer, a good role for a beginner. However, and with no rational way to explain it even now, I got confused during the audition. I accidentally auditioned for Jack, the main role. Not a good decision on my part because there were many more experienced people auditioning for that role. And going for Pulitzer would have given me a fighting chance. In the end, I received the role of Pulitzer Simpson. Munson. Well, close enough. Being in a play was more work than I expected, even though I did not have many lines. The rehearsals were a lot longer than I thought they would be. Everything we did, from the fracture and pitch of our voices to where every step, had to be rehearsed dozens of times. And don't even get me started on tech week. Our rehearsal hours were so long that we were there for dinner. Not to mention, tech week took place in the middle of test week. I mean, come on. Nevertheless, we pulled through, and in the end, together we built something that made us proud. Second semester, I thought I should take a break and try more laid-back clubs. But over summer break, when all my family members started asking me, "Are you doing the play again?" I started to think about what I gained from doing the play. I enjoy being a part of something and working with so many talented people to create something of our own. So when it came time to choose our clubs, I signed up for the play, Willy Wonka. For this audition though, I wanted a more involved role. So I decided to audition for Grandpa Joe, a pretty substantial role. This time, I was determined to get the role. As I reflected on the first play, the smaller role made sense. I needed to learn how building a play worked, but this time I was ready to put what I learned to use. I practiced my lines all day, and when the audition came, I got the role. It was a big jump, seeing how Grandpa Joe was in almost every scene and had tons of lines and singing parts. However, I knew I could do it, so when I put in the effort, when technique came, I was ready. Technique was a lot harder than I remembered it, but in the end, I used what I learned and, with the help of everyone else, we put on a good show. Academically, I've always thought myself as a math and science guy, but those subjects had come pretty easy to me, and I really enjoyed the challenge of difficult math problem and the discussion of scientific and technological improvements. But this year, 8th grade, opened my mind to truly examine history and its impact on right now. I have always liked history and years ago to a living guide that directs what we can and cannot do as Americans in the 21st century and beyond. Mr. Haas has perfected his teaching technique to keep young people engaged with his wit, stories that we will remember, crossword puzzles, and funny multiple choice options. He presents his subject in story form, helping me understand it better. He makes informative, and funny slideshows that he uses in class and are very helpful for studying. He makes helpful Kahoots to do in class before the test. It's like every day after class, I come home with something interesting that I can share with my family. I read the news in ways I didn't before. There's so much going on right now. Every headline that needs to check by our Constitution. His dedication to his subject sparked interest to study history, and I tell other people the great stories we learned from his class. In 5th grade, Boy Scouts gave a presentation at my school. It sounded interesting, so I thought I might go to a few meetings to see if it was something I might enjoy. I remember they showed us a very convincing video in which all the current scouts described what they loved about it. What they didn't mention was how hard it was to become an Eagle Scout and how much time it would require. Later that week, I made up my mind and attended the Monday meeting. When it was official, they handed me a book with information and requirements for advancement. You may or may not know this, but soon I was dealing with becoming an Eagle Scout requires more than just camping and merit badges. I have learned that it requires planning, organization, the ability to learn, and the ability to teach others. It requires years of advancement and personal development. My real introduction to Boy Scouts was summer camp. I spent 5 days and 5 nights away from my home and family. Didn't really know the other members of our troop. It was a great opportunity to hang out. Camp turned out to be more than fun and games. I was signed up for wilderness survival. It would explain to me that I had to build a shelter and sleep in it overnight. I gathered the only supplies available, sticks and leaves, to make the most unsheltered imaginable, and the worst sleep of my life. The troop leaders were proud of me for making it through the night. They let us know that earning the wilderness survival merit badge was not required for Eagle Scouts. Even so, I learned a lot about myself. I look back on my time with the Boy Scouts and I can clearly see my personal growth. Although not always easy for me, I have become more comfortable with the guys in my troop and consider them friends. We have guys from 5th through 12th from more than 5 schools in the area, everyone with different interests. I run the troop changed from just attending meetings to recently be voting as senior patrol leader, the highest ranking leadership position in the troop. I am responsible for leading the meetings, coordinating with adult leaders, and mentoring the younger scouts. I must mention that I found great support within the collegiate community of my Boy Scout advancement. Last summer, I signed up for Mr. Cool's mountain bike camp. The camp fulfilled some of the requirements, such as a 4 to 8 mile mountain bike rides. Mr. Cool, an Eagle Scout himself, spent hours of his time outside the camp discussing the academic requirements of the merit badge. Between Boy Scouts and robotics, Mr. Cool has been one of the biggest supporters here at Collegiate. For me, he's a mentor, and in my mind, the kind of person who achieves the rank of being a scout. I've always loved music. I love listening to different kinds of music. And since a very early age, I have loved playing music on the piano. The music heard in movies and television grab the audiences and make a lasting impression. Mission Impossible, Jaws, Inception, and a new favorite of mine, Severance. Much like the music soundtrack of a great movie, life is infinitely better set to music. I find myself humming a song when I am deep in thought or concentrating on an idea. I do not even realize that I am doing it. Music is a comfort for me, and I take great pride through playing the piano. Through playing the piano, I also experienced achievement and happiness in music. I started playing the piano when I was 6 years old, and it was difficult to acquire practice. My first piano was teacher was Mr. Barrett. I remember that lessons were held in class, and I learned to play the Imperial March. He taught me the basics of piano and started me on easy songs that I confidently played. My next teacher, Miss Lola, expanded playing the piano to include performance of playing. One Friday month, she invited all her piano students to her house to play their pieces and listen to other students. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit, and the lessons and almost everything else was moved to Zoom. The music instruction continued, and I felt proud of my individual achievements, but the pandemic took away any opportunity to share the music with others and learn from others. My current piano teacher, Miss Adrian, finds pieces that are not typical or predictable. She's tough and feels strongly that hard work and practice will solve these young neurons. I have found that being disciplined is a big difference, and I truly appreciate the sense of accomplishment I feel when Be yourself, everyone else is already taken. All throughout my life, Boy Scouts, play, school, I did what I wanted to do. I was influenced by some people, but I always held on to who I was and did the things that I had said. I do need to give credit for my parents for always expecting the best for me and pushing to expect the best for myself. I realize that it has taken a lot of time, more than a lot of patience, to help get me to where I am. From helping me study on tests, pushing me to make friends, I know that they will always be there for me. I also want to thank Mr. Poole, not just for helping me with Boy Scouts, for accepting me robotics on the snow-powered training and putting me on the greatest team that I could imagine. Thank you so much, Mr. Poole. I also want to shout out Matt, my cousin. He has been with me for as long as I can remember. He is my closest friend